Let's get more analysis now with Karin von Hippel, a former US State Department official and a former director of RUSI, which is a London-based defence research group. Welcome to CGTN, Karin. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, you've worked in the US government. Was this strategic surprise a success in the way that Washington is hoping for?
You know, it's still so early. You don't want to call anything a success when something has just been launched. It could be if Iran decides not to attack in a significant way. They could have a symbolic attack, which would help them save face, but it's just really too early to say. So far, it looks like they've destroyed much of the Iranian nuclear capability, but not all of it.
Iran's vowing, of course, to retaliate. How credible is that threat now?
Well, I think they will have to do something, just like they did in January 2020 after Donald Trump ordered the assassination of Qasem Soleimani, the head of the Quds Force. They waited a little while and then they attacked an American military base in Iraq that wasn't significant, and they basically telegraphed that they were going to attack. So they could do something like this. It's really hard to say.
There's growing concern that Iran could move to disrupt or even close the Strait of Hormuz, that really vital communications passageway. You know, how likely is that, and would there be quite serious global consequences?
Yes, I mean, it's very interesting. I just saw a story on Reuters that the Iran Press TV reported that the Iranian parliament approved today a measure to close the Straits of Hormuz. About 20% of the world's oil and gas flow through that. And so Rubio, the Secretary of State, the U.S. Secretary of State, has asked the Chinese to intervene because, of course, I think half of China's oil imports move through the Straits of Hormuz. And China does obviously have some influence on the Iranian government, so we'll see if that happens.
And Karin, just to repeat your major caveat, this is very early days, but stepping back, do you think that we are nearing the end of this current phase, at least, of the conflict, or is this a new, more volatile, more open-ended, more dangerous phase to the conflict?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Iran has been weakened significantly. They've lost control of the skies. They've lost a lot of their air defense systems. They've lost senior military people. They've had a lot of their nuclear capability destroyed. So that, you know, if they were being rational, they may think it's not smart for us to lash out. But countries don't always act rationally when they're feeling weak and pressed against the wall. So it could go one way or the other. I don't think Iran can do significant damage because I think it is very aware that the U.S. would strike back and hit quite hard if it did, you know, killed a lot of civilians or tried to use a dirty bomb or a terrorist attack or something like that.
And finally, I think it's fairly safe to say that Donald Trump is ultimately a deal maker. He really wants a deal at the end of the day. What could a de-escalation pathway look like, if any, and is diplomacy still the final option at this point?
Diplomacy is always the final option in any conflict. You want it to be given precedence over fighting, over military activity. And I think what it could look like is some sort of nuclear deal that would have very robust inspections regime. And in return, Iran would get some of its sanctions lifted. I think the Iranian regime is going to be worried about looking weak in front of the Iranian people. Now, U.S. is not calling for regime change. Israel has hinted at it, but it has to come from within if that is going to happen.
Dr. Karin von Hippel, really grateful for your time today. Karin von Hippel, former US State Department official and former head of RUSI. Thank you.